Okay. Yeah. So, a warm welcome to each and everyone over here. Thank you all for joining. So, as many of you already know, I am Sri Lakshmi NS, organizer for Bangalore OutSystems user group. So, I am working as an assistant manager in KPMG India. So, this is my LinkedIn ID. If you guys want to connect for any queries, so I'll be available on LinkedIn, and this is my Gmail where you can reach out to me. And we have our speaker for the event, Shubham Sharma. So I'll hand over the session to you, Shubham. All the best.
Hey, thank you very much, Sri Lakshmi. So, thank you for having me as well. Now I can see the option of sharing the screen as well. So, let me do that. Okay, and I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Okay, guys, welcome to this session. It's purely based on front end session, right? So we wanted to have a session solely on front end. So in this, as the session name suggests, it's for OutSystems front end essentials. So all the basics things that you need to know when you wanted to get started with front end. So all the basics things about CSS, theme, and all we're going to discuss in this session. Okay, the agenda of the session would be what are the front-end essentials that we need to know. I'm going to give you some demos. We would have Q&As and quiz. Okay, so let's overview what is front end in OutSystems or what actually a front end is. So I found a very good picture in which we can easily understand what is a front end and what is a back end. So if we talk about a normal application, a front end would be the part which our users see, right? Which your customers see, right? Which your users of your application sees, right? And user does not want to know that whatever complex logic that you have written in your application, the user only wanted to see the what we can see the attractive UI of your application. So front end would be what the users see, what the users interact with, right? So the interaction part should be nice, right? Or all the color combination should be nice. That would be front end, and rest how the things are working on the background should be the work of a background developer or backend developers. What we need to remember is to make a responsible design to create a attractive design. If we talk about the stages of application development, so we broadly divide into four steps, right? A UX, where a UX designer will going to create a wireframe design, a sketch of your application, right? How the application would look like, where we going to have button, how will be the header, what are the different menus will be there in the header, right? That the UI team will going to create a high fidelity mockup for those sketches. So once the UX design present their sketches, UI design will going to create a UI for that. They will going to create high fidelity mockups for those sketches, right? So they're going to add different fonts, different colors, and all those things. After that, the development starts. So either the backend and front end development could start simultaneously, or first the backend could start, or first front end could also be started, right? So if we talk about this, will be the design. So say if you wanted to create an application, right? UX design will going to create sketches, a button, right? This is how the design would look like. Then the UI team will going to create high fidelity mockups. They're going to decide what will be the heading size, what will be the font colors, what will be the background color and all. And then the front end team will actually going to create that application in OutSystems or in general in any other application or any other tool, right? If we talk about especially in OutSystems, what is under the hood in front end. So whenever you publish your application, your OutSystems application is will be converted into HTML, JavaScript, and CSS, right? And you can also inspect those into the browser. So when you wanted to see once you have published your application, what are the different things that you can access? So first, if you see, you can see HTML tag. Inside it, a normal whatever HTML structure we have, your head tag. And inside the head tag, you can see different meta tags that are available. So these meta tags, OutSystems or normal application use for SEO purpose or search engine optimization. After the head tag and meta tag, the major HTML part from where your actual application or actual screen starts would be this layout. So inside the body tag, after the head tag, your body tag starts. And inside this particular layout, which is layout top menu, your actual screen starts, right? You can see this will be the default layout of your screen. It could be a custom layout, it could be a side menu layout, or it could be a top menu layout, right? And inside this layout, whatever in the main content, whatever content that you have added, you can see those content, right? So once you publish your application, once you inspect it, you can see the default layout and all the content inside it. Other than that, you can see your scripts, JavaScript file, which is provided by the OutSystems, which is necessary for the application. If you wanted to add your own JavaScript file, you can also import it, or you can also create your JavaScript file, and that too will be loaded here, right? Other than JavaScript, your CSS files will be loaded after that. Okay, so all your OutSystems necessary CSS like your OutSystems UI, your theme CSS, your screen CSS, or your extra CSS would be here in the CSS part. Okay, so once you publish your application, you can see all these different things. Let me also show you into the browser. So here I have an application called request management. So this is a screen, a simple screen. Let's see when I inspect the screen, what are the different things we can see. So when we inspect the screen, right, a normal HTML structure, so we can see head tag. If we expand the head tags, we have different meta tags. If you wanted to add your own meta tags, you can also do that by writing custom JavaScripts, right? We have script tags here, and other than script tag, we scroll down, right? We have so many script tags, and then we have links in which we have different themes. So we have theme CSS, we have OutSystems UI CSS, and we have extra.css. Okay, so we're going to also see how the order of these CSS works. Okay, we're going to see that as well. But other than like if we collapse this head tag, we have body tag, and inside the body tag we can see our layout top menu, which will be the default layout of this screen, right? And inside this we can see the header, then the main content, and all the things which is inside the screen, right? So if we inspect it, this is how we can see different things into the browser as well. Okay. Now, once you publish your application or once you are creating your application, the major impact which has in your application with respect to front end would be on themes, right? How well you create your theme, what are the different stylings that is available in your theme. Okay, let's see about that as well. So whenever you create your reactive application, right, you can by default get a theme. So if my application name is my app, I will by default get a theme called my app theme. Similarly, if I have any other application, I will by default get that theme, and the theme has different properties. Okay, so if we directly see in Studio, so I have this application called FE Bootcamp exercise. This is the module, right? And in this, I have this FE Bootcamp app theme, which is a by default theme which I got from OutSystems when I once I published this application, right? So it has a description, it has a public property. But the major important part this theme has, which is base theme, right? So this theme is based on OutSystems UI. Now, what is the meaning of based on OutSystems UI? Okay, so if I remove this OutSystems UI from the base theme, you can see all the CSS that we were getting till this point, right? All the styling of all these widgets are written inside OutSystems UI. Okay, and what is OutSystems UI? OutSystems UI is OutSystems theme. Okay, so once you publish your application or once you create new application, OutSystems will automatically provide you this OutSystems UI, right? And in which all these CSS or thousands lines of CSS is written, and our theme is based on OutSystems UI, which means our theme is using OutSystems UI. Okay, so all the CSS which is provided by the OutSystems, our theme is using it, right? If we want, we can also modify those CSS, right? But it is very necessary, it's very important to use the theme or use the base theme as OutSystems UI so that we can use all the CSS that is provided by the OutSystems. Okay, other than base theme, we have style sheet where we can write our own CSS. Then we have grid property. Okay, now again, grid property is also very important. Let me create a new screen. Okay, so what is the use of grid property? Okay, so grid type we have majorly we divide it into two types: grid type fluid and fixed, right? And by default it is fluid type. So what is the meaning of fluid as a grid type? It means when you have any widget, right? When you have any widget into your screen, you have an option of dividing that widget into 12 columns, right? I can divide this widget into 12 columns, but where it is defined under themes property. You can see the grid type fluid. It means it's responsive in nature. Plus, we can divide this grid into 12 columns or this widget into 12 columns, right? If I want, I can also change it to 120 columns, right? Then I have an option of dividing this particular widget into 120 columns, right? So according to your use case, according to your styling way, you can change the grid type. By default is 12, and yeah, I also keep like use it as 12 only. But if you want, you can change it to any other count that you want, right? But it is defined right here. Okay, so what does is the fluid property makes your application responsive, right? It means whatever column that you have added, according to the say screen sizes, it will going to differ. So according to the screen sizes, I could see 6 columns right here, and I can also style it differently. But then we have second grid type, which is fixed, right? And as the name suggests, fixed means it's a fixed screen size. It means whenever you need to create an application for a fixed screen size. So I know that I am creating an application for 1280 pixels. So when I know that I'm creating an application for a single screen size, I can consider fixed, which means how the fixed size is calculated. It is calculated based on the 12 column count, each column width, so column count, column width, and gutter width. Based on this, total width is calculated. Okay, and as the name suggests, it's not responsive in nature. So you cannot like you can use it in different screen sizes, but it won't be that much responsive. So as a best practice, what OutSystem also suggests to keep the grid type as fluid, right? And yeah, if you want, you can change the column count as well. So grid type is also very important. You can also get few questions related to this in certification as well, right? What is the difference between fixed and fluid? Now, other than this, the major property this grid type has is this gutter width property, right? So let's talk about what is this gutter width property, right? So if you have two containers right next to each other or two widgets right next to each other, right? So I have this container. The first container is 6 column. The second container is also 6 column, right? Let me make this screen anonymous as well. Now, between the first container and the second container, right? Between the first container and second container, I have some space around it, right? We did not define both of these containers are sixth column, right? Which take equal space between the screen, but still there are some space available between those two containers. Let's see in browser as well. what actually this space is. So we cannot see the container here, right? We cannot see the container, but we can see the text that I have added inside the container. So when I inspect the screen now, right? So this is the first container which is taking the theme grid with 6. But the second container has a one more CSS or one more class assigned to it, which is theme grid margin gutter. Now, what is this margin gutter class, right? So this margin gutter class is coming because we have added a gutter width of this 30, right? So this gutter width property adds a space between two widgets. So what OutSystem says is whenever you have two widgets right next to each other, you should have space between them, right? So what you can do, or what it does, it automatically add this class called theme grid margin gutter, and which is adding, you can see this class right here. So theme grid margin gutter and adding a margin left 1.9%. So it is automatically adding this percentage, right? So these two grid or these two width are not 50-50%. These are 49 point some percent and 49 point some percent, and 1% is for that margin left. Okay. So this is gutter with property. What it does, it adds a space between two widgets, right? So that they are not aligned with each other, right? If you wanted to remove the gutter width, you can also remove this. Now you can see there are no space between these two widgets, right? So it depends on how you wanted to create your design. If you wanted to create a pixel perfect design that you want, don't want any space to be added extra, you can keep the gutter width as 0, but then you need to have space among all these widgets yourself, right? And by default you get gutter width as 30. Okay. So gutter width property helps us to add these spaces, and all these things, right? All these CSS that we are talking about, all these properties we are talking about. So from where it is coming, right? So this theme grid margin gutter or this theme grid with 6 property or class, right? From which CSS file it is coming, right? So you can see here, let me open this file as well. The file name is FE Bootcamp theme extra.css, right? So whatever property that you add in the themes properties, it will be going to come as an extra file called extra.css. So a new file will going to add once you load your application, and it will be extra.css. Okay, so you can see margin left, margin 8, and all these margins are added here. And similarly, all the width property that we use, right? Theme grid width 4, theme grid width 5, all these classes are also written here. Okay, so whenever, right here, so whenever you add any properties or whenever you change any properties from your themes, it will be added as a file called extra.css. Okay, so it will be added like this. Now, other than all these properties, grid property, base theme property, one more important property which theme has, which is this layout property. Okay, so by default, whenever you create any screen, right? So I have created this screen, and when I go to widget tree, this screen has a layout top menu, right? But where it is defined that I need layout top menu as a default block or default menu for this particular screen. So when you create a screen, right, or when you create your application from the themes block property, right, you can see this layout block. By default, it is selected as layout top menu. So from here, you can customize which layout you wanted to select as a by default layout, right? So for an instance, let me say I want a different layout where I can see layouts. In the layouts UI flow, I have base section, blank, side menu, and top menu layout. Okay, by default it's top menu. But if you want that, okay, my theme should follow or my application should follow side menu layout. So from this layout section, you can change the layout top menu to layout side menu, right? So you can also create your own custom layouts, and you can also use the existing layout, right? So you can see I have changed the layout for this theme as layout side menu, right? But if we talk about the existing screens, right? If you see the existing screens are still following the layout top menu, okay? But when I create a new screen, right? When we create a new screen, only the new screen will going to follow the new layout. Okay, so this we always need to remember or keep in mind that whenever you change the layout from your theme, right? Whenever you change your layout from this theme, it will only going to apply to the newly created screen. So all the existing screens will not going to change their layout. Okay, so that is why it is always always recommended by OutSystems that if you wanted to set a layout for your application, you should always do before creating any screens, right? And why is that? We already got that because I whenever I will create new screen, then only it will going to have the new layout. Okay, so this is the layout property of your theme. So you can change your layouts. I'll change it back to top menu, right? And if you wanted to change the layout after your screen is created, then you need to change it manually by going into each screen, right? Select the layout from the block and change the block itself, right? So eventually your layout or whatever layout that is added in your screen is just a block, right? So you can change the layout block manually, right? But it is not recommended. What OutSystem suggests, you should select the layout first and then create the screen. But in some cases, if you wanted to change the layout later, then you can change the layout manually from the widget tree. Okay, so these are the themes property that are available, and themes are very important for your applications. It helps us to create the whole layout or whole design of your applications, right? And it has all these properties, right? Now, where we can select a theme. So by default, when you create a theme, it will be selected as a default theme. Whenever you create an application, whatever theme that you have will be the default theme of your module. Okay, so this is FE Bootcamp theme, and when we click on module, I have this property called default theme, right? So I can select a theme in two places. Firstly, a complete module could have this default theme, right? And all the UI flows and all the screens which are following this layout or which are available in this module will going to follow this theme. Okay, so either we could have a theme for a complete module, and also a UI flow could also have different themes, right? So for example, if I have say this main flow UI flow is for my employee, right? So I could have a different theme for employee UI flow, and I could also have a different UI flow for, let's say, a admin UI flow, right? So I can also select a different theme for this admin UI flow. Now in this case, admin UI flow will going to follow OutSystems UI, right? But this employee UI flow will going to follow the default theme, which is this FE Bootcamp theme, right? So either you could have a theme for complete module, which means all the module which are following the default theme, right? But you could also have a theme for a UI flow as well. Okay, and this is also one of the certification questions. Okay, so yeah, that is about the theme. So base theme we already have seen, which is OutSystems UI, right? Which is loaded like this. So you will have React widgets, then OutSystems UI, right? And you will also have a file called extra.css, which will be loaded for all the properties of your themes, right? Grid type, we have two types of grid, fluid or fixed, right? Fluid will be your by default grid type, and which is also responsive in nature. Okay, extra.css file has a set of classes that helps define widths. So we have different widths we can use. So whenever you apply styling with the help of style step and you select the width as 6 column, 2 column, 3 columns, it is actually coming from the extra.css file, right? And it also help us to use that margin gutter property. Okay, and to apply themes, we have two options. Either we can apply theme on a modular level or a UI flow level. Okay, so this is all about themes. These are the major property that we have in themes. We also talk about layouts. So by default, you got a top menu layout, right? But you can also use any other layouts like side menu, base, or blank, right? And you can also create your own layouts, and you can set that as your say default layout in the themes property. Okay, so this is a web layout, and this is a smartphone layout which will be different for mobile. So you can also create layouts for smartphones or mobile, right? You can also customize the layout. So customizing is also possible. So whenever you wanted to create a layout, right, what OutSystems recommend is just copy the existing layout that you have and add the needed placeholders. So whenever you need to create your new layout, copy the existing layout that is available, right, and add the placeholders that you wanted to add there and customize that layout. So this is a way to create your own layout or customize a layout, and placeholders are very important in that. Okay. Next we have patterns. Okay, so let's talk about what is patterns. Okay, so we have this. Okay, let me change this UI flow name back to main flow. Now we have different main flows and we have different widgets are available, right? So we have table widgets, list widget, and all. And in this screen, we also add one more screen. So if we talk about normal widgets, we have an input widget, right? Which is a normal widget which help us to get any data from the user, right? But sometimes we also need an input with icon, right? So sometimes it is needed that, okay, I need an input widget, but with an icon as well, right? So it could be a search icon, it could be any other icon. So this input widget is a normal widget, right? But this input with an icon is our pattern. Okay, so this input which is a normal widget, but input with icon will be a pattern. So what actually a pattern is? A pattern would be say anything which is highly reusable, which could be reusable in multiple screens with extra CSS and elements, right? So we will need an input with icon so that you don't need to do it, or developers don't need to create those widgets again and again. OutSystems has created a pattern for it. So pattern is a reusable element, drag and drop to any screen and can be used in any application. Okay. Now, if you wanted to see what are the different patterns available, right, you can always check out OutSystems lifestyle guide. So what you need to do, you need to search for OutSystems lifestyle guide. Okay, and open the first link. So this OutSystems lifestyle guide will be very helpful when you are creating your front end. So we'll talk about styles, okay, but let's see about patterns first. Okay, so in this OutSystems lifestyle guide, you can see all the patterns that are available, right? So you can see accordion, alert, balloon, carousel, right? And you can also see a lot of patterns. Breadcrumbs are also available here. Okay, so one of those patterns are this display on device, which I like. So this display on device pattern will help us to hide, or like which will going to display or hide certain elements from different screen sizes. So normally we used to write media queries, right? So we write media queries, or now we can use different classes which is available in OutSystems. But we can also use this particular pattern called display on device. Okay, so let me show you if you wanted to hide a particular element, right? How you can do that with the help of display on device pattern. So simply search for this pattern called display on device, right? See, it is available for me, right? So if it is not available for you, just click on this option called search in other modules, right? If you're not able to see this pattern or any other pattern that you're looking for, click on this option called search in other modules and you will be able to see all the patterns. Click on the pattern and add the dependencies, right? And then you'll be able to see that pattern. So if you wanted to use this pattern called display on device, simply drag and drop it into the screen, right? And now we have three options: on desktop, on tablet, and on phone, right? So it behaves similar like how we used to write media queries, right? To hide particular elements, to create responsive designs. It's a similar kind of pattern, right? So I'm giving you an example with an image. So say I have an image, right? So on desktop, on tablet, I want to display this particular image, but on phone, I want to display some other image. Okay, so I have an image which is this. Okay, so it is okay to be displayed this image on desktop and tablet, right? So I'm okay with it. But in phone, this image should not be displayed. Some other image should be displayed. So what we'll do, we'll right click here, insert a widget, image. So on desktop and tablet, I have copied these images, right? But on phone, I can select some different image. So say this image, right? Or let me use some colored image. So placeholder, right? So I don't need to write any kind of CSS, right? I don't need to create any classes. So what I have to do, I just need to use this pattern called display on device, right? And what I can do now, let me publish this. Now with this on desktop and tablet, I can see this headphone image, but on phone, I can see this placeholder image. Let me publish this and we'll see this as well. So you have multiple options of using styling your element or hiding or disabling your elements. One of them is this display on device, right? You can also go for media queries, so you don't need to write media queries as well. I'm going to show you one more way, right? So I'm just giving you an example of this pattern, but you can use any other pattern that is available here, right? So now I can see on desktop mode, I can see this headphone image. But when I open this screen, right, let me make this as responsive. So responsive. So I can see it in desktop. I can still see it in the tablet mode. But when I reduce the screen size, right, for a phone mode, I cannot see that headphone image. Now I can see this placeholder image. Okay, so this is one of the ways in which you don't need. So if you are not aware of media queries, if you don't want to create your own classes, you can use this pattern called display on device, right? So you just need to search for these patterns. But if you are familiar with media queries and you wanted to use classes, right, a very good class is available here. Okay, let me show you that as well. So you can see in this body, we have bunch of classes that is available. Windows, Chrome, is left to right, desktop and landscape. Now, what are these classes, right? So these classes are is explaining to the browser in which browser it's actually explaining to us that in which browser we are opening this application or this screen. So it is open in Windows, Chrome, right, in a desktop version and landscape mode. But if I open it in a mobile mode, right, now it's saying it is in Windows, Chrome, but in phone and portrait mode, right? So we have these classes called desktop, phone, and tablet, which we can use to write CSS. So if we wanted to hide a particular element, right, in a desktop mode, I can simply use this class called desktop. Similarly, if I wanted to hide or say apply any other effect, I can use this phone classes. Similarly, I can use Windows and Chrome class if I wanted to hide or disable a particular element from Windows browser, from Chrome browser, right? Let me show you an quick example of that as well. So I can simply copy this desktop class, right? And let me delete this. Let's add another image right here. Okay, same image. I wanted to hide in desktop mode. So what I can do, I can simply use this class called desktop. Okay, that's all that we need to do. If you wanted to hide a particular element, any widget or anything in a desktop mode, so just use a desktop class. Similarly, you can use phone and tablet class as well. Okay, with this, now this particular image won't be visible in desktop. It will only be visible in phone and tablet. Similarly, you can use other classes like Chrome, is left to right, and others as well. So desktop class is assigned to it. Maybe I need to add it as dot, but yeah, you can add it from here as well. Let me write that CSS myself. Okay, let me use this image class and instead of this desktop class. Okay, so yeah, if you're going to use this desktop class, you need it's for the screen size, right? That display none property still you need to write yourself.
Hey Shubham, are you able
Mhm.
to hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yes.
We lost you a bit, actually.
Oh, sorry. Let me stop sharing. So, in which part?
So just can you share your screen back
Okay,
where you were showing the adaptive layout?
sure, sure. Let me share it again. Thank you. Me see. Sorry about that. Yeah. So, can you guys see my screen again?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, guys. So yes, so there are different patterns that are available in this pattern sections. You can use different patterns, right? Like we have used display on device. You can also use move to device, which will move your elements according to the this display size or your screen size, right? You can also use align center and other patterns as well. Okay, so and actually the pattern as we discussed are normal widgets with extra CSS assigned to it so that you don't need to create those things, right? So those are patterns. Why we use patterns? So to speed up the development, to improve maintenance, to improve code readability, and it leads to consistency, right? So because not every developer is creating their own patterns, right? We are using the patterns that is provided by the OutSystems, right? So that is why it's very good to use, right? And anyone can use it. And if you want, you can also customize the pattern that is also available. Okay. Other than these patterns, the next topic would be CSS, right? And in OutSystems, there are multiple ways in which you can write CSS, right? And let me show you what are the, let's say, three ways in which you can write CSS. Okay. So the first way to write CSS would be using this style classes section. Okay. So if you wanted to style any element, let me delete this screen or let me simply use this screen. Okay. So if you have a container, again, text. Now, if I wanted to style this container, okay, if I wanted to style this container, I can use this style classes section. Okay, so what we can say heading. If I wanted to add some heading into it, so if I wanted to increase the text size, I can say heading 5. I can say some background color. right? And I can also add some colors and all. But what is a major problem with this approach? If you are using style classes, right, it's easier to use. You are also following the best practice. The only problem that people have, which is like it's hard to remember what are the different style classes available, right? So to use the style class section, right, again you can use lifestyle guide. Okay, so simply open your lifestyle guide and you have the styles section, right? Here you can see colors, typography, border, spacing, and shadow. Okay, so here you can see lots of color that is available. You can see there are colors available, and colors are available for both for background classes and text classes, right? So it's easier to use this way. So suppose if I wanted to apply any color on background, I can copy the background color, right, without the dot, right? Let me add one more container, right? And I wanted to apply a background color, just copy and paste the class. Now you can see a background color, green dark color has been added. If you wanted to add a color in a text, right, then you can simply copy the text class, which is this text class, text blue lighter, and you can paste it. So add a space and paste the class, right? We also need a text. So text color has been changed, right? So from here you can see the hex code, you can see the background classes, text classes, and CSS variables. So that also you can use, and it's simpler to use this way. So any colors that you wanted to use from here, you can either use it for background or text color. Okay, and not just colors, you also have typography, right? So if you wanted to use different font sizes, now if you see in the first container, I have used this heading 5, right? But in actual, I don't know, right? What is the pixel size actually this font size has? What is the line height this font has? So all this I can see right here. So this heading 5 which I have used has 20 pixels, and the line height is common, which is 1 to 1.25 in all of these. Similarly, use different classes. So I can use a class called this heading 2 with the second container, and we can add a space. Okay, and I can also see what will be the size and line height here. I can again use the CSS variable here as well. Okay, not just font sizes, we also have font weights and text transform. So if I wanted to say increase the font weight of my text, I can simply use it from here and paste it. I can use a semi bold, a bold, and say a light as well. Depends on the head size or class that you are using. You can also convert it into text transform as well to lowercase, uppercase, and capitalize. Okay, so not just color and typography, you would have borders, spacing, and shadow as well, which is also very useful. So for an instance, if you have an image, right, and you wanted to make it circle, and say you have a button as well, right, and you wanted to add some border into this button, or you wanted to make this button rounded, normally you need to write CSS for it, right? But you have these classes as well which you can use. Now border radius rounded, I can copy the class. Now my button has some radius, right, some already some border, but I can make it rounded as well. So you can either write CSS for this border for for we can say a single element, but from theme editor we're going to see how to add these radius or border for all the elements that are available in your screen. Right? So borders also you can use. You can also use a circle border. You can use border sizes, right? And different borders are available. Similarly, you can use spacing, and spacing is one of the major useful thing, right? Which everyone should know how to add spacing between elements, right? So you would have a uniform spacing if you wanted to add same spacing in all four directions. But if you wanted to use a directional spacing, that is also you can do, right? So say you can use a padding top M, which will have a 24 pixels padding or margin, right, on the top direction. Similarly, you could have right, bottom, left, vertical, and horizontal, right? So I can simply copy this, say, margin Y base, and then I would have a margin vertically for 16 pixels for top and right, or top and bottom. So I can apply this margin right here in this container, right? So equally it will have a margin on top and bottom, not on left and right. Okay, so this way we can use these classes, which is very important and which is very useful. We also have classes for shadow as well. If you wanted to apply different shadows, you can copy this shadow M and add it into this button or anywhere you wanted to use. Okay, so this lifestyle guide document is very useful if you wanted to use styles, if you wanted to use patterns. You can also see the list of widgets here, whatever widgets that are available. And you can also see the list of all the screen templates that are available in your screen. Okay, so you can see the list of screen templates. You can click on it, you can see how it will going to look like. And if you like it, you can simply create a new screen with this template. Okay, so as we discussed, we would have different ways in which we can write styling. The very first way we have discussed is the style classes. Okay. Now let's see what are the other way in which we can write styling. So other than this style class section. Okay. So other than using OutSystems CSS, what is OutSystem has provided, we can also write our own CSS. So you can click on this section right here, right? And you can also write your own CSS. Okay. Now CSS we can write in multiple labels. So we would have an OutSystems UI, which we already discussed is OutSystems CSS. We cannot edit that. Then we have theme level and screen level. So either I can write a CSS on a theme level or a screen level. Now what is the difference? Okay, when you write CSS on theme level, it will be available to the all the screen which is following this theme, FE Bootcamp theme. Okay, but if you write a css on screen level, it will only be available on that screen alone. So if I'm writing any css saying text heading, so this particular class will only be available in this particular screen. Could have any color, could have some font size, right? And I can copy this class and I can apply here. Right? So either I can write CSS on styles on a screen section or a theme level. But what do you guys think? According to you, which option is better? Should we write CSS on a theme level or a screen level? Say, what do you think, guys? Should we write CSS on a screen level or a theme level?
It will be better to write on a theme level.
Okay, on a theme level, why? Why do you think?
Suppose if we create, like if we are writing a CSS for any button, so if we write it down on a screen level, then we have to copy and paste it on every screen. But if it will be on a theme level, then we can reuse that CSS.
Yes, Pankaj, that's very good, right? And others as well, whoever has written in the chats, you guys are correct. Okay. So in the theme level, if you write any CSS on the theme level, as Pankaj correctly said, if I now, so say if I have added a CSS for a button in a screen level and I would need it in a different screen, I need to replicate the CSS. So if you are writing in screen level, what you are doing, you are simply replicating the CSS. But if you are writing on a theme level, firstly, you can reuse the CSS in multiple screens. And second is maintenance, right? Now later, if you need to change the CSS, you can simply change the CSS on the theme level. And in all the screens which are for, or all the screen which is using that class, the CSS will be changed. Okay, so two major reasons, reusability and maintainability. That are the reason we use the CSS on theme level. Okay, so we can write CSS on screen and theme level. We discuss why, right? Now, so yeah, we can create a CSS like this. Okay, and we can use it right here. Okay, so we can again create our own styling and apply it here. That is also considered as best practice. If you are using or if you are writing CSS on theme level, right, that too will consider as best practice. So if you are using OutSystems CSS, that is also good. If you are writing your own CSS, that is also good, right? One more way that we have, right, which is using this style step. And I know everyone, right, who is present here might have used the style tabs. Now let's see, when you write styling with style steps, then what happens? Okay, so let me make it bold. Let me apply some styling to it. Let me make it underline, italic, font. Let's increase some font size. Right, we can also change the color of the text, or we can also add some borders, whatever we need, we can do that. Right, so we have applied the stylings. Okay, so first two we are using OutSystems CSS, and the third one we are writing our own CSS, and in the fourth section on the fourth container we are using style step to write CSS. Okay, and to this text we are writing styles ourselves by using this style step. Okay, so first two ways, right? Either using OutSystem CSS, either using our own CSS are considered as best practice if you are following it, right? But when you're using style step, right, then it will not consider as best practice for a simple reason. Let me show you that. Okay, guys, do you know about inline CSS, external CSS, and right? I hope you guys have idea about that. Inline CSS, external CSS, and internal CSS. Okay, so if you use OutSystem CSS, or if you use your own CSS as well, right? If you write your own CSS, both will consider as external CSS. Okay, so this CSS text heading, right? How this text heading is coming? It is adding as a class from an external CSS, right? So a CSS class has been added from this file. Okay, so if you're using OutSystem CSS or own your CSS will be considered as external CSS. But when you use style step, when you write CSS with the help of style step, you can see the difference here, right? So in this text heading, the styling is coming with the help of a class. But when you apply styling with the help of style step, it is coming as an inline CSS. Okay, it means it's coming as this a tag has been added called style, and inside that tag, complete CSS has been written. Okay, and guys, anywhere, not in just OutSystems, anywhere, inline styling is not what is supported. You should not write inline CSS. Okay, so that is why whenever you use style step, right, it can inline CSS, and then you will have issues, right? You will have UI flickering issues, you have reusability issues, maintenance issues, right? So that is why using style tabs this way does not consider as a best practice. So what should we do then? Should we not use style tabs? Okay, so we can use style tabs. You can use the style tab, apply the styling that you wanted to apply. The only thing that we need to do is, after your styling is done, click on this button called Save Changes to Reusable Classes. Okay, so in every style tab, you will see this button called Save Changes to Reusable Classes. Click on this and add a class name. So let's say I want a class. This is my screen to say heading. Okay, so a class I have created called screen to heading, and click on confirm. Now what this button does? So when you click on this button called Save Changes to Reusable Classes, what it does, it simply creates this whole thing that you have added, whole classes, all the properties, all the styling. It will be added as a class in a theme layer. Okay, in a theme section, it will going to add this class and all the properties, all the stylings that you have applied. Now it will have two benefits, right? First, because it is added in the theme level, now you can use the same class, the screen to heading class, in different parts of the screen or different part of your application, right? Wherever this theme is following. Plus the inline styling that we were using now will be also be converted as an external CSS. So now if I refresh the screen and inspect it, okay, it will be converted into an external CSS, right? Now it is converted as pen class screen to heading. Okay, so these are the three ways in which you can write styling. You can use OutSystems classes, you can write your own classes, or you can use style step. But follow the best practice that is suggested by OutSystems, that use as the theme section, right? And every time you're using the style step, click on the button called Save Changes to Reusable Classes. If you're following these things, it will be considered as best practice and you can use CSS. Okay, so style classes, you can write your own custom classes, you can use style step, right? But the only thing that we need to remember is that click on this button called Save Changes to Reusable Classes. Otherwise, you would have problems like it will be harder to maintain and scale. You would have UI flickering issues and all the issues related to inline styling. Okay, now, one more major part which comes when you write styling is, or when you write CSS would be the order in which CSS loads, right? So let's see in which order the CSS loads, okay? We have seen that I can write styling on a screen level, I can write CSS on theme level, and I can also write CSS on a block level. So we have three ways, three options. I can write a CSS on a block level. I can write a CSS on theme level and screen level, right? But what is the order of this loading? Okay, so let's talk about that. Okay, so please pay attention. So I have a block. Let me call this as text block. Okay, so this text block has a text. We call this as a sample text. Okay, so to style this sample text, we can write a styling, right, on this block. So let me call this as my text class, and whatever class, say thing I need to do, whatever styling I need to do, I can write. So I can say the text color is brown. The font size could be 40 pixels, and say background color could be blue. Okay, so I have created a class called text which has this styling, and this class I have added on a block level. Okay, once I click on this text, I can apply the styling by using the styles text. Okay, so it is not looking good, but yeah, so the styling has been applied. So I can apply styling by clicking on the CSS button on the top, right? And this styling I have applied on the block level. Okay, now if I'm using this block in this particular screen, so let me say simply, let's just simply create a new screen. Okay, let's use this particular block into the screen, right? Now let's override the CSS in a theme level. So what we'll do, whatever class I'm using a class called text, right? A simple class. So whatever class I'm using, I can override it on a theme level. Let me show you that. So on a theme, I can again use the same class, right? But I can change the styling. So I can say color could this time would be say white, but background color could be black. And now you can see, right? So in the block level, I still have those CSS written, right? So I have this still, I have this CSS written, or this class is available. But now block level is also following theme CSS, right? And in my screen 3 also, it is following theme CSS, right? Which means block has least amount of precedence over theme CSS. Okay, so if we write any CSS on theme level, we can easily override it with the help of, like, if you write any CSS on the block level, we can easily override it with the help of theme level CSS. Okay, lastly, we can use the same class on a screen level. Let me change the color to green, and which is not changed. Okay, and let's change the background color to something like blue. Okay, and now lastly we can see that, so in the, again in the theme level I still have the CSS written, right? But whatever, when we, if we use the same class on a screen level, right, the again it can be, so screen level would going to have the highest amount of precedence over theme and block level. Okay, so let's see this as well in screen, right? So if we talk about until it's loading, right? CSS file loading. So we can write CSS in three levels: block level, theme level, and screen level, right? And if we talk about precedence, block level would have least amount of precedence, theme level would have higher precedence over block, and screen level would going to have highest amount of precedence. Okay, but why is that? Why screen has highest amount of precedence over block and theme level? Anyone knows that? Why would theme has higher amounts of precedence over theme and a block level? Yes, guys. So let's see. Anyone? Why screen level has highest precedence, then theme level, and then block level? Any idea, guys? Yes, Kavita.
Yeah, I think it's a loading, screen loading is of last attempt. So that's why taken the first, whichever we are written on the screen.
That's very good, Kavita, right? And yes, sir, and also you are right. Okay, so as the name suggests, guys, CSS, right? CSS means cascading style sheet, which means whatever CSS is loading last has higher amount of precedence, right? And Kavita is totally right, which means when you inspect your screen, right, and check which CSS file is loading last. So in the head tag, if you scroll down, okay, so we would have say from here we would have React widget CSS, then our text.css. This text.css are block level CSS, right? So our block name is text. I don't know why I have added block name as text, but yeah. So you can see the block CSS is loading first, right? Then our OutSystems UI. So even OutSystems UI is loading later than the block level CSS. Then our theme level CSS. So because theme is loading late than the block, that is why it has higher precedence. But at the end, our screen level CSS is loading, right? Screen3.css. That is why screen level CSS has highest amount of precedence over theme and block level. Okay, simple reason, because screen level CSS loads last. That is why it has higher precedence. Okay, if we quickly talk about the best practice of writing CSS, would be you should always avoid using ID selectors, right? So in our systems, we do not use ID selectors to write this, right? We only use classes because IDs are managed by the platform itself. Be aware of selector performance and CSS specificity. Okay, avoid writing CSS in block or a screen level. Use a centralized CSS in themes. We already discussed that. Right? What are the issues with it? It's harder to maintain, uh, lead to style duplication, impact on performance, and whatsoever. Right? Also, avoid using inline styling, and yeah, majorly those are the, what do we say, major reasons or major best practice of writing CSS, right? At the end, I want to talk about lots of people got confused, right? I also used to get confused. How should we name our classes, right? So to name our classes, OutSystem also suggests one thing called block element modifier. Okay, so OutSystem suggests you should use this technique called block element modifier to name your classes. Okay, for example, if you have a block and the block name is card, so if you're writing the CSS for the complete block, let's say a background color, font, anything you are writing for the complete block, use the block name itself, right? Dot card. Now, if you're writing for a particular element of particular section of a block, so for card's title, for card's content, for card's footer, use dot card dash title dash content dash footer. Okay, and when you are using so say when the user clicked on a button, when the user click on a input widget or change the input widget's text, right, then you can use like this. So whenever you wanted to apply for modifier, you can use double dash. So use single dash for element of the particular block or a screen, and use double dash when you wanted to change the states, right? Link is clicked. So dot card like double dash clicked, something like this, right? You can use it for status as well. So this way you can apply styling. So you can see an example here as well. Card dash title and dash dash red. Okay, so this way you can write the styling so that now in the later if you're using it for different screen, right, your styling could not be copied, right? You cannot replicate the styling because you are using the block's name or screen name itself. So you will not going to copy the styling from or it won't be replicated from one screen to another screen. Okay, at the end, we would have something called theme editor as well, which we can use. And theme editor we use whenever we wanted to apply styling for the complete application or complete module. Here you can select different color palettes. You can also upload an image. That's very nice. You can upload an image, and from that image, you can select the color palette. You can also change the primary color of your application, right? Here in the dashboard, I can see that. So primary color of the application can be changed. You can also change the background of your application, which looks nice. Uh, and you can also change the header color. You can change the font of your application. You can change the font sizes. You can increase and decrease the font size. Whatever I'm doing in the theme editor will going to affect on all the module or the complete application or complete screens which are following this theme. Okay, you can also reduce and increase the space. You can increase and reduce the heading size. You can change the border. So either you can use the border classes, or either you can simply change the border from theme editor. This way, in all the element, the border will be changed. Like all the buttons, all the input widgets, the border will be changed. And from the theme editor itself, you can customize the login screen as well. So you can customize the login screen. You can have a default background, or you can have a background color or gradient, right? So from because login screen is by default, we does not create the login screen. So from here, you can customize the login screen as well. Okay, and done. So that is basics, right? You can use theme editor. Everyone had used it. Now, what will be the change when you use the theme editor? So when you use a theme editor, in your CSS tab, you would have one more tab called theme editor, which is also non-editable. So now you would also have one more tab called theme editor, which is non-editable, right? Now you have four tabs: log screen, theme level, theme editor, and OutSystems UI, right? But you would have a question and certification, which would be among these tabs, how many CSS file will going to generate for these tab. Okay, so it means when you publish your application for these tabs, for this styling, how many CSS file will going to generate. Okay, because theme editor is part of theme itself. So whatever styling that I am adding, right, whatever styling that I am adding here in the theme section, will going to add at the bottom of this of the theme, right? So whatever styling that I have will be added at the bottom of the theme, and these two will going to merge together. So if someone asks in out in certification how many CSS file will going to generate for these steps, it will be three, right? Because theme and theme editor will going to combine together, and you would have one CSS file for login and one for OutSystems UI. Okay, you can see an example as well. So I have a theme editor which has root class and all the CSS. I have my app theme right here, which has some class available called cart custom. But when I publish my application, both root and cart custom will be added into a single theme file, and cart custom CSS, which I have added on a theme, will be added lower, like at the last of the theme. Okay, so this will be theme editor will be read only theme and merged with application theme. OutSystems lifestyle guide we already have discussed, which has color, typography, border, spacing, shadows, pattern, and templates. Okay, OutSystems UI has helper classes as well, which we can use for margin, flex, positioning as well. And it has classes for image, this as well. If you wanted to make an image circle, if you wanted to make your image rounded, or if you wanted to create a cool thumbnail image, so you can use the existing classes that is available or provided by the OutSystems. Okay, and this wraps up, like concluded all the topic which I wanted to cover. Guys, do you have any queries, any questions? Yes, guys, any questions? Let me see
Uh,
in the chats as well. Yes, Sheila.
Shubham, you have the questions on Q&A. I hope you have the access there.
Oh, yeah. Let
Yeah.
me check. So first OutSystems UI CSS will load, and then the theme level CSS will load. So your theme level CSS, Nageshwari, would have higher precedence over OutSystems UI. So that is why you can easily customize OutSystems UI. Okay, so first your OutSystems UI CSS loads, then theme level. So theme level has higher precedence. Yes, so loading order Nuno, it's always same, right? Screen level is always load last. I've also checked in ODC as well, so it's the same for ODC as well. You can change the styles of patterns, and it's a very good question, Nageshwari. So just copy the existing patterns. Let's say pagination is a pattern. You can copy the pagination pattern, opening your OutSystems application, right? Copy and paste it, and then customize the pattern.
We have one more question from Nuno. So,
Yeah, yeah. I'm just
yeah,
reading it. So
yeah, okay.
okay, so desktop is a class which will be applied. So it's which is replacing media queries, right? So we used to write media queries for a particular screen size. So that media query has changed to desktop, tablet, and phone, right? So if you wanted to hide a particular element, you need to write CSS again yourself. But if you use desktop before that, like dot desktop dot any class that you have, and then you need to write the styling yourself to hide it. Desktop would just replacing the media query for you. So whatever you used to do for media query and write different widths, instead of those media query and width, now you can use desktop, tablet, and phone, and rest of the CSS would be still the same. No, Vipin. So that's not possible. I guess someone I have asked this question in forums as well, and I haven't seen any answer for that as well. So it's not possible to change the grid for a particular screen. You can write custom CSS again. That is an option. You can. So you can create as many themes as you want, right? And apply the themes in different levels, either a modular level or UI flow level. So that is possible. You can also use CSS variable if you are familiar with it, right? So you can use CSS variable, which is also very useful, which I have seen a lot of people using it. Like you are writing any styling and then simply using the CSS variable to apply anything. So in that way, you don't need to apply an extra class on each element. So if you are already writing any CSS for an element, you can use the same class, and in the inside the class itself, you can use CSS variables. So CSS variable is also a very good thing. So you can do both, right? You can also hide a particular element. You can let me also show you an example quickly. Possible? Let me quickly see that. Okay, let's see if I have this. Okay, in the meantime, let me quickly see other questions as well. Okay, for multi-tenant application, I guess you need to define different schemes and CSS yourself. I guess one of the classes that I have seen in my company, people are using, if you are using an application for Arabic, which I have seen, people were using a class called is left to right and is right to left, which is available in the body, right? But again, theming part would be totally dependent on you, right? And you would also have parameters that are available. So that I guess it's totally doable when you are creating those applications. Like right here, I could not give you better example. You can customize the menu, right? You can easily customize the menu. There are no limitations. The only suggestion which OutSystems gives is use those placeholders as the same name that is available, right? So if you are customizing the layout, please use the same placeholders with same name like title, breadcrumbs, main content, and footer, so that once you are using scaffolding as well, it works, because with the help of placeholder, scaffolding works, right? So customizing is totally possible. The only thing is you should always use, I guess, the correct placeholders.
Okay, I guess we have covered up all the question and answers. So now, I guess you had one more question, no, Shubham.
So is there any way to customize grid only specific screen? Yes, Vipin. So as I said, right, it's not there is no built-in method available for customizing grid just for the screen. In those cases, you can write your own CSS. You can use flex properties and those things, but like for a particular screen, grid cannot be changed. That is not available.
Okay, so since we have covered all the Q&A questions, with that, I I thank you, Shubham, for this wonderful session. I hope this was very much useful for all the participants over here. So, giving the
Yeah,
time,
let me quickly share those two QR codes. So,
yeah,
yeah, if you guys are interested, if you guys have any questions, you wanted to reach out to me, You can scan the first QR code for LinkedIn, and you can, okay, scan the second QR code for ADP list if you are familiar with ADP list, right? And you wanted to connect with me directly to have a chat, right? You can directly connect with me on ADP list by using the second QR code. First QR code for the LinkedIn. Okay, I'm not going to take much more time. I'll simply going to share the LinkedIn link as well. So yes, Lakshmi, go ahead with the quiz.
Yeah, sure, Shivam. Thanks a lot. So now it's our time to have some quiz and feedback, and where you can refer the previous session videos. So if you guys have missed out any of our previous events, so here is where you can get the access. Okay, I hope my screen is visible again. Can you guys see it?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So we have our Bangalore OutSystems user group YouTube channel where you will get the access to the previous session videos. So right from the beginning, you can refer, like if you have missed out any of our previous events, you can always have a look at each of the videos in this YouTube channel. So I'll give a moment for you guys to scan the QR code if you want, and so I'm putting the link in the chat for the easy access. Okay, and here comes the most important part, feedback. So I really appreciate you guys if you take a moment to scan the QR code and submit your feedback. So your feedback really matters to us in order to improve our upcoming sessions. So I'll wait for another 2 minutes since we have very less time for the quiz. So I'll just wait for 2 minutes. I hope you guys can scan and submit the feedback. And once you submit the feedback, I'm expecting done in the chat. And for the easy access again, I'm going to put the link in the chat. Okay, so the chat is having the link for the feedback. You guys have 1 more minute, and I received only one done. Okay, I'm receiving duns now. We still have few seconds, and I hope you guys are able to submit your feedback. Okay, thank you for those who are submitting the feedback so quick. Okay, okay. So now for a moment, I'll stop sharing, and I would like to see the smiling faces of yours so that I'll take a snapshot so that we can share it across in our social media about this event. So if you're comfortable, please come on camera just for a snapshot. Ah, that's great. I can see many people. 1 second. Okay, one more. Thank you. I appreciate those who have turned on the camera, and you look great with your smiling faces. now let's jump into the most interesting part of the session. I'll share my screen back. Okay, so before jumping into the quiz, so uh, I'll just give you a picture on how this quiz works. So in uh, the last session from Bangalore OutSystems group, we had a flop with the quiz because many of you were not able to submit. I guess I heard 10 to 12 people were not able to submit the quiz. So for that matter, in this session, so we are using an OutSystems application itself to have the quiz session. So once I move to the next slide, you will see the similar QR code and the link. I'll paste it in the chat so you can access that. And this quiz will be having 8 questions. And please make sure you put your full name and the email address. And answer to all the 8 questions are mandatory. So please select your best answer, and once you submit the quiz, please confirm me on the chat. So that's how this quiz works. Let me just go at the quiz now. Yeah, here it is. And to finish the quiz, you will be having 10 minutes. I hope you guys are able to scan the QR code and access the quiz. Okay, I'm going to share the link. I'm sorry, I missed it. Here is the link. If you guys face any difficulty in accessing the link or the QR code, please do let me know. This is the first time we are hosting this type of quiz again. And I'll check the responses meanwhile. And don't forget to put done once you haven't received any response yet.
Uh, like people are saying they are facing the same issue. Selection.
The link is not loading. Can you once access Shubham?
Like I have access from QR code, so that was working. And if I
The link
directly
is not working.
access,
Uh,
no, it's moving to lifetime. I guess yeah. Once you open it, it's moving to lifetime.
okay, 1 second. Let me put the new link, and we can extend the time to plus 2 minutes. Okay, now I'm going to put the new link. Can you guys try this link? And Shubham, can you give a try and confirm?
Sure, sure. I think now it will work because in the previous link there was no screen name and module name. I
Okay,
quickly open
okay,
it as well. Yeah, it's working. It's working.
okay.
Working.
Guys, please access the new link that I have put in the chat. And I'm sorry for the last link. I see tons. Okay, let me see the responses. Okay, I see 5 responses so far. Vaishali, Nono, Arshad, Kamana, Rahul. Okay, and we have another 7 minutes more. You can take your time, and just for the winners, so you should be submitting the 8 correct answers. So the gift coupons or the swag kits will be given to the top 3. So if you are not able to submit 8 correct answers, then whoever has submitted the most correct answers, that means 7 or 6, so they'll be eligible. And if there are more participants who have submitted the 8 correct answers or the 7 correct answers, I'll be taking the time of submission. So whoever has submitted it first, they'll be eligible to get the swag kit or the gift coupons. I see many done now, and I see the responses as well. And we have 5 more minutes. Let me know if you guys again face any issue with the submission. So, if you're okay, can you put the lifestyle guide link in the chat so that it will be helpful for all the participants how they can access?
Yeah, sure, I'll share the link. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
maybe at
so
the
it's in the chat.
because
Yeah, maybe at
okay,
the end as well. Right.
because it will get missed in the dance, in between dance.
Sure, sure.
Otherwise, I'll put your message. I have pinned your message. Okay.
That is nice.
I
Thank you.
see many dance. Thank you guys for being interactive and making this session successful. Let's see, we have another 4 minutes, and so far we don't we didn't face any issue with the quiz. That's a good part. So this idea is working for our community group. Okay. And the winners of this event will be getting the swag kit or the gift coupons, and they'll be receiving an email from me or Sahiba. Okay. We have another 2 minutes, guys. We'll just end the quiz by 4:30, and only the responses which are submitted within 4:36 will be eligible. We have 1 more minute. We have 30 seconds more. I guess if you have already finished. I stopped seeing done from last 1 minute. So, okay, so since we have the time constraint now, so we are at the end of the session. I thank you all for taking out your time and joining this event, and I thank Shubham for this wonderful session. So I hope this helped all the participants who have joined in here. And if you have any questions regarding this event or any of the past sessions, you can reach out to me. And regarding this event, you can reach out to Shubham. And I hope you have the link to access the previous videos of our OutSystems user group sessions, so you can always refer. And if you guys wish to participate in our user group and wish to talk and be a speaker, you can always reach out to me, and we will assess and we will give you an opportunity if you are eligible. Thank you all again for taking out your time and making this session a wonderful one. Thank you, Shubham. Thank you all.
Thank
Thank
you,
you all.
Zulakshi. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone, for joining.
Thank you, Shubham. Thank you, team.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Subhan.
Thank you, guys.
So, answering to Divakar, yes, this video will also be uploaded in the YouTube channel. So, it will be available from tomorrow. Thank you, thank you, thank you, guys.